Hello guys, today we'll talk about the box office. Yeah, and I decided not to go over the Tomb Raider week because it probably isn't really anything. Probably get no views. There's just no weeks over the past week. There's like a couple of Nintendo weeks scattered here and there. Hopefully we have better luck tomorrow. But we do have the box office to talk about, so there still has to be a video to be made. And the number one movie is Spider-Man No Way Home. But Spider-Man No Way Home, despite passing $1 billion, will obviously not pass Star Wars as it underperformed Christmas weekend. We can compare it to the event. Okay, not Sing C. Not Sing C. Okay. Avengers. Okay, and Avengers Infinity War. It is still. Even it might not, it's gonna probably not pass Endgame because Endgame did better. They had a better hold than, of course, No Way Home had. So it's basically gonna perform like Infinity War at the end of its box office run and Black Panther. It is probably gonna still end up being the highest grossing Spider-Man movie. There's also no new movies coming out, so I think the best comparison is just compare it to other Marvel movies and films. So Black Panther and the other two Avengers, Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron made way less than I thought it did. And the first Avengers. Yeah. So Spider-Man No Way Home is gonna beat Age of Ultron. Then it only actually has passed Age of Ultron. This is Age of Ultron, Spider-Man has passed Age of Ultron already. But it's looking like it is gonna beat Black Panther. It is gonna beat Infinity War at the boxes. It may not be Black Panther. It might open lower because of its not so great. But it's not gonna beat Star Wars: The Force Awakens and Endgame. Okay. Once again, it's a Spider-Man movie. It's not an Avengers movie. It is performing really well it's overperformed really well for a movie. As well as Spider-Man No Way Home also passed $1 billion at the box office. But I decided to skip the Christmas update because we're only gonna be talking about the same thing at the box office update. And I'm not gonna do like the Joker and put, because there wasn't really many movies to compare it to. Unlike Joker, okay? We can put I was going to predict the final box office of Joker. And Sonic, there was a pandemic that was going to stop because of the, coronavirus that was starting to go around, and Sonic came out around when it was starting to be detected in America and stuff. So, and Spider-Man No Way Home is doing way better. It's gonna probably be the second highest grossing MCU movie. It is definitely being no other Spider-Man movies as well. We can include Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man as well as a comparison for adjusted for inflation as well. Well, with again Spider-Man 2, adjust those two movies for inflation. So, because Spider-Man 2 did way worse than Spider-Man No Way Home because again, Spider-Man 2 came out around 2000, but of course, if adjusted for inflation, Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man can be compared to Spider-Man No Way Home. Spider-Man No Way Home is beating Spider-Man 2, but not being the original Spider-Man. Man, it will probably beat the original Spider-Man because it had a bigger opening than Spider-Man. If we guys can compare it to the older Spider-Man movies, it is beating both of those movies, adjusted for inflation. Spider-Man 2 made 549 million, 8 million, and at the time, Spider-Man 2 is now losing. It is probably gonna beat Spider-Man 1, make it the highest grossing Spider-Man movie of all time, as well. So of course, we're going to talk about the other movies as well, because the other movies deserve to be talked about as well. So we have Sing 2, which is doing really well. As well, I think the only real comparison is to compare it to, not one has gone wrong, the first Sing, basically. I guess not saying 1989 is on here because that's the results they'll give you. It's gonna probably beat Encanto at the box office, which will be pretty hilarious. Here, but it is not gonna beat the first movie. But it is performing very similar to the first movie. So it will likely end up around $200 million plus domestic gross, as it is performing very similar to the original movie. And if this continues to hold over the weekend, because this movie appeals towards kids, this movie will probably do a similar to Jumanji and Jumanji the Next Level. If you look at those two movies, Jumanji the Next Level did worse domestically and worldwide in the first, but still was very well beloved by its fan base, which means, unlike most sequels, it did mostly the same, and it mostly performed in its box office. With the comparator Welcome to the Jungle versus Next Level in the same comparison, the Next Level made $316 million at the box office. This and Welcome to the Jungle obviously made far more money domestically, $404 million. Despite this, the Next Level still made a decent amount of money, because its fan base, most of its fan base was turned to see the movie in the theaters. So I think with Sing 2, it has had the same thing. Most of the fans of the first movie really loved this movie, so it is basically performing like Jumanji, the Next Level. It'll probably perform like $400 to $500 million worldwide, where it's for an Illumination movie and for a sequel, for animated sequel, that usually animated sequels typically perform far worse than movies like Sing 2. It is doing really well for a movie like that. I think with types of Spider-Man, I think the next movie we'll really see overperform the first one will probably be Sonic. Next is The Matrix, which again isn't really doing too well. The budget is still unknown for this movie, as well. So I'm assuming the budget's gonna be probably around $175 million. So that means like that if it's $170 million, he needs to make it for $380 million. And this movie is really doing abysmally at the box office. People don't like this movie either. And no, I'm not talking about Dust the Phantom Menace, because again, there's an echo chamber that complains about everything. I'm talking about actual people, not Dust the Phantom Menace. Like actual casual moviegoers, even though like the Matrix Resurrections. And The Kingsman, which is probably won't be one of this year's biggest flops. It has a pretty big budget as well. It is another one of those Fox sequels that Disney is just trying to sell off and basically trying to scrub under the rug, and basically is sacrificing just like Dark Phoenix, and no one's watching it because of this. So and the last movie wasn't that great either. West Side Story, another movie that isn't really doing too well. It is having better legs over the next weekend, but again, it's not gonna be a greatest showman. Okay, Disney, again, West Side Story with younger audiences is not very recognizable. I know people are like, you don't know West Side Story? I never heard of West Side Story until they released this movie. Okay, people are not gonna take a risk with a movie that's not a part of a franchise. I know people just don't listen to me, but it's just the truth. People are not going to take a risk in the pandemic era when they can say, oh yeah, Spider-Man. I can watch Spider-Man instead of West Side Story. I can watch, Sing 2 instead of West Side Story. I can watch Venom and Halloween instead of course, The Last Duel. I can watch, of course, Venom instead of Dear Evan Hansen. Wait a week for Venom to come out and spend my money on that movie. And the only movie that's really accepted into this is Free Guy and Jungle Cruise, where Jungle Cruise is getting a sequel. But other than that, they're not really doing too well. Okay, non-franchise movies have not really done too well, but they at least made money. But over the past couple of years, non-franchise movies have been making worse and worse monies, or movies that don't really have a lot of name recognition to them. Okay, which is why most analysts predict them to be flops. For example, Alita Battle Angel. I know it's mostly because they were complaining about her eye size, which is completely ridiculous, but they were saying that despite James Cameron, it's not a Marvel movie. It's not a Ghostbusters or James Bond or Jurassic Park movie, and it's not a Disney movie, so it's not going to make the amount of money it was gonna probably need to make, but did it made a tiny bit of money. But next is Licorice Pizza, another one of those art project films that'll be nominated for Oscars, basically. So yeah, next is Journal for Jordan, another flop by Sony Pictures, because again, it's a movie that's trying to target a certain demographic that is not a part of a franchise, so it's basically the bottom of both worlds, you know. So it's not really doing too well. So next is Untitled, which is Disney's triumphant failure of the year. It needs to make like around $250 to $300 million to break even. I'm gonna be able to consider it's Disney. It's gonna be more towards the $300 million end. I know, and not really people really care about Encanto. It's a movie that can play probably one of Disney's more forgettable movies. And it's just Disney had the year of failures. The only Marvel movie that really had a massive success was not even made by Disney. It was made by Sony Pictures. So, and you have the opposite side here. Jonathan Jordan is gonna flop, but Spider-Man's gonna make a lot of money. Next is Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is another. With this movie, I think it's just about to make money, 75 million. So 145 million, of course, including box office and stuff. That's like 160 million. So this movie already is no longer a flop. Unlike Ghostbusters 2016, I think people tend to forget this. Ghostbusters 2016 had a massive budget. The problem with Ghostbusters as a franchise, not because, and the movies are performing relatively similar, I don't think Ghostbusters 2016 will be beaten by Afterlife because, again, of a pandemic, Ghostbusters 20, and a lot of fans still have a sour taste in the mouth from 2016, kind of like I said with Suicide Squad and the Suicide Squad. The difference between the Suicide Squad and Suicide Squad is because there's this basically, another Suicide Squad movie, really? The last one was already bad enough. I think some people are going to skip out on Ghostbusters this round because people didn't like the last one. The difference between Ghostbusters Afterlife and Ghostbusters 2016 is Ghostbusters Afterlife will make money. Ghostbusters 2016 will not make money. Okay? And Ghostbusters Afterlife, even if it is quote unquote in the red according to the Phantom Menace, there's merchandise for it at the stores that will probably sell really well. You know, the movie will gain a cult following from the original fan base, and the movie will become a cult classic movie. Not as well beloved as the original Ghostbusters, but definitely well beloved by fans of the series, and it'll likely get a sequel as well, like Dune did, and Dune did extremely well at the box office, and we're going to compare it to Dune. A movie to compare it to is really Dune, not Ghostbusters 2016 now, because Dune is a very similar type of movie. Dune made money through like HBO Max as well. It also had a small budget in the movie. It had a similar budget to the movie Alita. Actually had a smaller budget than Alita. It had really similar budget to like Dumbo, Godzilla, and Alita. And Godzilla and Alita are not considered box office flops. So shouldn't Dune. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever for Dune to not be considered a box office flop like Godzilla and Alita isn't either. So, you know, because they can compare it to the highest grossing movies of the year, and Ghostbusters Afterlife is going to make money like Dune did. Dune's already getting a sequel as well, and Dune did really well on HBO Max as well, you know, which contributed to the movie's success. And Warner Bros. Didn't really have a good year this year. Mortal Kombat did meh. It did bad at the box office because even though it did really well on HBO Max, so, you know, as well. But we look at the highest grossing movies of the year. I think the movies that made money are Shang-Chi, Spider-Man, Venom, Black Widow through, of course, Disney Plus, F9, The Fast Saga, and maybe The Eternals. No Time to Die made money. Quiet Place, Free Guy, of course, was a successful movie, and Ghostbusters Afterlife. Out of the top 10, the only movie that probably isn't a success is The Eternals, and The Eternals is probably not going to make that much more money. So The Eternals is going to be a box office failure regardless, because it needs to make $440 million to break even, and unlike Black Widow, which made $120 million on Disney Plus, The Eternals, which all that money on Disney Plus goes towards Disney and does not go to 40% does not go to the feeder. Black Widow can make back its money from merchandising, and of course the massive Disney Plus premium sales is all $40, and The Eternals has nothing. Okay, So the Eternals is Marvel's first flop, is Marvel's first failure, because even though it does not have the, even though it does not, it's according to, okay, the Eternals, not that one, not that one, okay. The 2021 Eternals, yeah, it's still at the same Frozen 6.8 score. So it's basically your Disney, manipulated score, typical. It hasn't budged a single bit, which is pretty odd because Black Widow is like 6.7. Which technically, according to IMDb, Black Widow is Marvel's worst film according to IMDb, and Shang-Chi has a much significantly higher score. And Spider-Man, I gotta look up Spider-Man's score. Yeah. Is that 9.0 or is that 8.9? I gotta see if it is. It's at 8.9 now, so yeah, it's no longer in the, it is no longer the highest rated. It is no longer higher rate. It has a lower rating than the Dark Knight, so that means, yeah, it can still have a higher rating than, of course, Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3. It's gonna probably end around the same score as movies like Endgame and stuff. Endgame has like an 8.4, and Infinity War is 8.4. As more of the more, people who don't like the movie are going to probably voice their opinion on IMDb that they don't like this movie, and the score is going to eventually go down. That's how it always is. Spider-Man No Way Home eventually started with 9.2, was the all know was not going to hold. But I'm very interested to see how Spider-Man No Way Home is definitely going to be in the IMDb top 250. It's at 8.9 of 237K reviews. But yep, that's basically it about this video. Goodbye.